Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to the most popular session on this channel, which is the Q&A Wednesday session on Instagram. So if you are interested in that, you are definitely in the right place. If you'd like to ask the future questions for this, please follow me on Instagram, and then on Wednesday you can ask this on the stories. So I must admit we have today very interesting questions and very important ones. We are here having the bhava chakra, if we are jumping to the 7th house from Upapada, about work, about the marriage, how many marriages, how to see that, and also the how to evaluate basically marriage prosperity. So many interesting questions. If you like the video, please click the like button. If you'd like to be notified about similar videos in the future, please subscribe with the bell notification on. You can always write the comment if you have any suggestions for the future topics or any other questions for this video. In the last video we got the 40 likes. Let's see if we can get the 50 likes in this video. You are brand new here. My name is Rafał Gendash. This channel is about Vedic astrology or Indian astrology in the tradition of Sri Achyutananda with the analytical, modern, research example-based approach. So with that being said, let's go straight to the video. First question is about the bhava chakra, what it is. If the bhava chakra is in 8th house and the planet is in the 9th house in the Rasi, the general chart. So we have to understand that the bhava chakra or bhava chakra shows more what the mind, how the mind perceives the world, and so sometimes there could be some mismatch between the reality and the world. For example, if you have the graha in the 8th, but in the Rasi chakra is in 8th, one may see something as a calamity, but it's in the fortune, and reverse. If in the bhava chakra is in 9, but in the Rasi chakra is in 8, we may see, this is fortune, but in fact this can bring us calamity. So we can use that, how there is a mismatch between the reality and the world. So the lagna-chakra, the main chart, the Rasi chakra is showing the reality, that is the karma, and that is what we are interested about. So of course, if there are big discrepancies between these two, then if the Rasi chart shows that maybe we should look into bhava chakra, so there must be some impulse to look there. And we are normally saying that the Rasi chakra, the signs are distributed by the sun, by the Aditya, and this is the objective reality we are experiencing, and this astrologer is bringing the light about that reality to the native, because the native may have different conception about his or her life. So this is the light, this is the Jyotisha we are bringing about the objective reality. So this is also interesting that the mismatch is also always happening between the two adjacent, two closed house to each other. Also interesting question would be why this discrepancy, this mismatch is happening. So if the person doesn't see the reality as it is, then it's maybe worthy to see the bhava chakra, but there must be some impulse for do that. So I'm not using it on the regular basis. I not see that used by my teachers. They are not using it on a regular basis. There must be some impulse to see that. So now the next question is about the Upapada jump to the 7th house. So yes, if it's stronger, we are using that. If the 7th from Upapada is stronger, then we are basically jumping there. This is very often used principle, and that shows that we are seeing things in pairs. So this also is about the Aruda Lagna, and this is related to our mind, because our mind is the moon, and the moon is dual. So our mind has a lot of dual principles, dual functions. So the 7th house, when stronger, it's the option which is pulling us, and that also is bringing that dynamics, that the jumping brings the dynamics. So in the Aruda, this can also be related to Dasha, but I've never seen that Dasha is used in the Upapada here. And this can really change the reading. The 7 and 12 from Aruda basically is showing those who are opposing us. From any Aruda we can use that. And we can check about the 7th house in Upapada if we are not sure, we have some doubts. For example, we can see the sustenance from 2nd from Upapada, we can see the children from the trikona. If the 7 is stronger, how to see that? We see more planets. If there are equal planets, that we check the Rasi Drishti. This is very simple, all dual sign aspects each other, movable aspect, fixed aspect, movable, except the adjacent one, the closest one. So the next question is about Saturn in 6th for Taurus Lagna. So for Taurus that would be Libra, and the Saturn would be very strong. And here it's not only that, but the Saturn would be 9th and 10th Lord. And this changes the things a little bit, because when the Kendra It's loaded by malefics and it's strong in the Dushtana, then it shows that this malefic is too idealistic, too pure, to protect the house. So that would be different if that malefic would not lord the Kendra houses, our tradition says. And especially if we have the Dushtana lord in the Dushtana, then that is in the Faldepika, we know that this is the Viparit Raja Yoga, and this brings the destruction of the evil. So it's good for us, but basically may involve some bad karma. And also there is the factor that to bring a good results, we need to have that planet weak in that Dushtana. Also the 6th house, as we know, it bringing that flip. It can be Upachaya or Dushtana. So if it's benefic, it's more Upachaya. Saturn exalted also may bring more that Upachaya thing. The 6th house also is being showing us employed. So when Saturn is there, both are showing employed. So this brings very nice results. It's a Karaka yoga. So we get the blessings, the function of the house. We are fulfilled when we are employed. And it's also making us very pure because 6th house is normal. The Kanya Lagna, the very pure sign. Also the 10th Lord and 6th can make one into service, into Karma yoga, helping others, but also can bring an artist, people whose mind are involved in transformation, because the 8th house will be okay. So the next question is about the import-export business. So this is normally controlled by Rahu and Ketu. Rahu normally goes to other countries, it's like a spy, so it's more like import. Ketu sits in the country, but because it's close to border, these planets are at the periphery of things. Moon is in the center, nodes are in the periphery. So the Ketu is also interested in that. So now depends which points these yoga are controlling, they are touching, because various aspects of the Karakatva will be in the native life. So if it's in Aruda Lagna, then this will control more the sector of life. And if you think about that person, then these nodes will come to your mind if the person has Rahu Ketu influence in the Aruda Lagna. So for the business, we know that the central house would be 7 in the Dashamsa. So then you have to check these Rahu and Ketu there. As we know, the Dashamsa is the special chart for the career life. Mercury is the Karaka, so we can check also Mercury versus Saturn while it's in the Rasi chart, and pay attention to 6th and 10th house. We can compare these houses in the Rasi chart. And in the Rasi, the whole business activity is basically related to A7, the Darapada, and then you can see your business partners. And you can see also the position of this Darapada from the Aruda Lagna. So that is what you need to check in Rasi chart, and for the Dashamsa, you need to check the relation of the nodes to the 7th Lord. So this is how you are checking it. You can also check this from points of personality, like from Lagna Lord, from Moon Atma Karaka, how you are good with that, how you are feeling with that. The next question is about the Venus Nisha, if Jupiter or Mercury can provide the nicabhanga for this. So the question was if Mercury and Jupiter can provide the nicabhanga when these are in Kona. So first of all, yes, these planets can bring the Venus out of the debilitation. This is the nicabhanga. This means that cancellation of debility, but these planets have to be in Kendra, not in the Kona. So why Mercury and Jupiter? Because Mercury is loading that sign in which Venus is debilitated, and Jupiter is loading the 7th house from it. So we say that is exaltation sign. Also, we are taking the 3rd planet normally, which is the planet which exalts in the sign in which the planet is debilitated. So here is the same Mercury, because the Mercury is loading Virgo, but Mercury is also exalted in Libra, in Virgo. So we have these two planets. We could involve the Rahu, because Rahu is also lording the Virgo. So Nicha planets are basically showing the low ideals when it comes to the Karakatva of the planet. And the Venus here is very important, as it shows the whole Kendra, the whole 7th house, which shows the people which are in our life. So the Venus is also important because it's the half of Rajas. We know that the Mercury is the Jadatma, the objects. The Venus is more about emotions, about people, as the Jivatma. So it's also interesting that these two planets, these Rajasic planets, they are basically debilitating each other. So, but also can bring this nicabhanga to each other. So also can bring that help, we could say. And according to Sharavali, this Venus is also showing the ihaloka sukha, which is the happiness. The Venus brings the happiness we get on this earth. So the 7th house is also related to Muladhara chakra, and it's also the conception place of the chart. So therefore it shows the foundation. The 7th house is about the foundation of happiness in our life. Now the trikona is definitely helping, but it's not the automatic help blessing. So the nicabhanga is related to more Kendra, because it shows the automatic, the resources are available for us. So Kendra is showing that availability of resources which can help. So there is also the possibility of Graha being exalted in the Navamsha. That is another aspect of that. So we can use these 4 points, free from nicabhanga and then exaltation in the Navamsha, to be sure if the planets get help, get cancellation of that debility. The next question is about what is the most auspicious time for marriage. So there is dasha, which shows when something happens, and there are systems which tell us when it's good something to happen. So we could call it that there is descriptive thing, it's also the normative things. That's not the best translation, but you know what I mean. So one of these dasha is, for example, Naisargika dasha, to see when it's good time to start something, because it's showing that Naisargika means natural, so when it's natural to start something. Also, the another thing is we can use Navamsha and the dasha like Vimshotri, and we can see how this chart is supporting specific direction, because the Navamsha is the bhagya, is the fortune. So based on this, we can already know the outcome. Like if the person is marrying, or even it's starting the relationship, it's badly placed from the 7th house, the dasha, we can say that the relationship will end or break. So one can use that for all mothers. One can use for health, property, work, and so on. And the other handy tool, which is given by the Crux of Vedic, by Astrology, by Sanjay Rath, is that we can see the Jupiter Gochara, the Jupiter transit. When in transit is aspecting the 2nd house from Upapada, then it is said it's a good time for marriage. There are also other techniques given by Crux of Vedic Astrology. For example, the Narayana Dasha has to aspect Venus or Ketu to really bring the marriage in this time. So all these become important not only for descriptive but also for normative. So when it's good to start something. Also, we could discuss that what it means the best for what. This could be for supporting the marriage, and also this could be to work, supporting work, maybe children, maybe both families, communication, health, work. So also we can see the dasha from all these points, and we then know which points will be good, will be supported, and which can be problematic. Of course, there is the whole muhurta principles, which can help you to choose the right moment to marry. So there is also something interesting when it comes to Sadeshati, especially the 12th part of the Sadeshati, when the Saturn goes to sign, which is related to the 12 from moon in the Navamsha projected on the Rashi. So Saturn transit in Rashi, when it's going to sign, which is the same as 12 from moon in the Navamsha, in the natal chart, then we say that there is a big changes when it comes to married life. So this can be testing period when you are married, but if you are not married, this can bring you marriage. So that would be the answer for this. Next question is about number of marriages. So there are also marriages with many partnership at the same time. Then we count the 3rd house. We are doing the 1st house count. But for the standard marriages, we are just seeing the 8 from the former house, and this will show that the former marriage is ending and then you are starting the new relationship. It's said also that the monogamy in India was ended by Sri Ram, as he did that Ekapatni Vrata, which is the dedication to one wife, which was Sita Devi here. So otherwise we read in the Purana also that the Krishna had also the many wives, and in one point of time he had more than 10,000 wives. So here the same tools apply, the number of children. So in the Prashamarga also we have that we can count the planets in the house. So here would be 7th house. We can see the Ashtavarga points in the 7th house, how many Navamshas the Lord has passed. For example, for children, we can see 5th Lord Navamsha to know how many children the person will have. So the other way, which is more reliable here, would be to see how the nodes are placed. If the nodes are in 1-7 Navamsha, 1 marriage. If the nodes are in 2nd 8, there will be 2 marriages, and so on. So we use the nodes in the Navamsha. This is the principle which we are using also in the Siddhamsha and the Saptamsha to see how far one goes in the education and how many children one will have in the Saptamsha. So we see when the nodes are there, because the nodes are the border. So if the count is going to the border, then we know that this is the end. This is end number, end count of children, marriage. And we are using this basically for marriage. And then we may have one more if the Jupiter or Mercury is touching the next point. So that is the blessing. We can have sometimes one more, but that would be normally the limit. Of course, the next relationship comes in the question only when the Upapada is weak, doesn't have that sustenance power, and this is shown by Upapada and 2nd from Upapada. So these must be strong, and then we know that one stays in the marriage maybe for the whole life. So I would say that the most practical tool will be to see the Upapada placement. The other things would be also to count the see the nodes in the Navamsha. That would give us the best ideas. Of course, we can also see the 7 from Venus, the planets there, or Ashtaka there, as whenever the dasha starts of this point, this planet want us to go into a relationship, and similarly the 12th house from the Lagna. We will talk about that a little bit later. And the character is normally seen by the Venus placement, by the 4th house, and also the Jupiter in Navamsha. This may also have some important in this context. Also, the general stability of the relationship could be in question when the 7th Lord and Venus are badly placed. So that would be the answer to this question. The next question is about, do planets in 12 or the 12th Lord is bringing the marriage? So that is for both situations. Any yoga with the 12 can bring the relationships. You will see that there is always some connection on type of marriage to the 12th house, as the 12th house is the exaltation of the Venus. Also, we say that it's the Neshtra house. Neshtra was the priest, which is basically bringing the pair together. So the Parashara is using that word, and he says that there are Sun, Moon, Rahu and Venus. These 4 planets have the special power to bringing the relationship. So in the Western astrology, we say that this connection is because the 12th house is read to bed. So that shows that connection. Now, the important thing here would be to check those planets, how they are placed also in the Navamsha. Because if the Navamsha doesn't support, then it would not be marriage, it would be something else. So we can take also the common planets in D1 and D9 and find that one to know when the marriage will really happen. We can also use, what is very reasonable, to use more than one dasha just to be sure and just to get that additional confirmation and most precise answer. The planet in 12th house also may bring other function. It may bring surgery, it may bring some hospitalization, also can push one abroad. So therefore we need to check also the other Vargas to be sure what is happening. We have the 9th question is about the marriage, how to see marriage in the chart. So to reflect the complexity of the situation, Jyotisha is also providing us the tools with a similar level of complexity, just to reflect precisely what's going on in that situation. Or we could say that the other way, from the philosophical perspective, that the world we see is the reflection of the ideas or the karmic patterns, which are also complex. So these are the primary reality, and the world we see, the material world, is basically reflecting that. That was the Platon idea, and is also very much present in the Vedic Shastras. So the first thing which comes to mind is the 7th Lord and the Venus. We have to check them. The 7th Lord is more about the relationship. It shows someone who is opposite to us. So this could be our partner, this could be our lover, this could be our relationship. Whilst the planet, here we say Karaka, Naisargika Karaka, the planet, the Venus, here, which is responsible for love, relationship, will show more as a function, the substance. So we say that the relationship should bring. So the relationship are the realities, and the substances are like the normative function, something which should be there. Like, for example, 7th Lord should bring either some deals for business, which is Mercury, or should bring some love, which is Venus. So these are these 2 primary karaka for the 7th house. So if the 7th Lord is badly placed, then whenever we relate to someone, we see some problem. We therefore say that if it's in Dushtana from the 7th house, the partner is not available for us. So that could mean that the partner is living in other countries or working a lot, and therefore there is that the relationship is difficult. Also, when the Venus is badly placed, then that would mean it's hard to bring that substance, that love, that thing, that function for which the house primary exists. So therefore we say that good relationship between 7th Lord and Venus is bringing that Karaka Yoga. So we say that we are then fulfilled. The house is doing the Venus thing for us. So whoever's in the 7th house, it does the Mercury. It brings the Mercury, it brings the Venus. So the relationship should bring us this marriage, that fulfillment. So this is basically the primary philosophy behind the Karaka Yoga. Then also we can say about Titi, the Lord of Titi, like we have the Ekadashi, Tritiya Dashami. This shows the love emotion on a bit more subtle aspects, more subtle level. So it's also very important. And this can also be a trigger for us to direct our analysis into some specific direction of the chart. For example, if we see that the Titesha is in Agni Rashi, the fiery, the emotions are disappearing, are going away. and then we can ask ourselves why, and we see other parts of the chart could give us the answer. Is the relationship short-lasted due to bad choices of partners, or maybe some other circumstances? We can investigate that further. Finally, when we relate to other person, there is something built in our mind and also has a function is in society as kind of ritual, and that is protected, so that is valuable, that is measurable, and that is kind of project. And this is the Upapada. The project can end or be sustained due to various reasons, and in astrology we may see what those reasons are. So for example, there may be some inner factors why there is some problem when it comes to relating to the partner, or why is the problem to feeling that fulfillment, being sexual, emotional, psychological, or even spiritual. But also we may see what is the reason to lose that contract, what is the reason to leave the marriage, and this we can see from Upapada. Now the last very interesting question is about how to know whether mantra is giving us results. So this is a very interesting question, and just like checking if we interpret properly the last life, this is hard to check because it's hard to really get that relationship. So now here we have the option of we can just observe the things if the mantra is working, or we can just use the astrology. We can draw a prashna for that, and that would be the best tool. When we do a mantra regularly, then we say that after 40 days we should get the CD, which is the result of that mantra if we do the proper amount of malas. Mala is one round normally, and it's 108. So in Christians have 54 mala, 54 beats, we have 108. So there is some number 108. This number which is important among many traditions. So the energy is building up to promote some kind of results. We could take it as in the more personal way, because the devata and the rishis are involved. Each mantra has, we could say, there is some energy involved, but also according to text, each mantra has this devata and also the rishi. So these are the personalities. So basically we are forming some kind of intimate relationship with the objects of our sadhana, and those relationships are with the personalities which are in sattva guna. There is no shade of jealousy or any those low emotions. So for some it may sound a bit weird, but I'm only saying what the texts are teaching and also what our tradition says. Each mantra has the devata, each mantra has the rishi. So there are personalities basically behind the mantra. Now the prashna method is just to draw the prashna and see the fifth house, fifth lord, how they are placed. I did that for my client, and that is working consistently. By this way we can also remove some obstacles in the sadhana. People who are doing mantra for many years, and yes, the effect is the subtle. So there are times in life when people are losing a faith and say that this brings nothing. But if you do it for a longer time, like for example 10 years, you can see those repetitive patterns which are subtle. That's when you are not doing mantras, you see some results in this life, and you can say, yeah, they are subtle, but they are building up. These subtle results are building up, and then they are causing some life-changing situations. When the limit of this adding up energy is there, it can totally change your life. So even if the results is subtle on the day-to-day basis, in the long run, it can totally change the situation. That's basically the function of the mantra. So the mantra is in the sattva, and sattva is like that. It's built up as a slow, even a little bit bitter, as the Bhagavad Gita says, but the end is sweet. And even from the atheist psychological perspective, there is a very big psychological health benefit, when you are admitting or appreciate the fact that there is some higher force, the higher reality, that you are not controlling everything. This is very healthy, even from the psychological perspective. So that would be it for me. I hope you find it interesting and informative. If you do, please click that thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please write below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and see you in the next one.